Alright, and we're live. Alright, so I'm Barry Reynolds. I'm a gateway gamer, runs through. Should have thought about that a little bit. But anyway, this is Tube Tables chat. And Tube Tables is a guild on BBG where a bunch of YouTube creators go and chat. There's Tragic the Blathering, rather, our guest here. Then we have Ricky Royals, part of it, Doug Harrington, a few other guys. So I'll let you go one by one with who we have here today. And I guess we'll start on my screen. To my left would be Chrissy. So go ahead.
Hello, I'm Chrissy McLaughlin. I have a YouTube channel called Solo McLaughlin. I do mostly solo playthroughs. I do some fun stuff with my kids and family, but for the most part, it's solo time. And I'm also on the Tube Table Guild, dragged in there because of course, the founding father. And I asked to join the guild, and he graciously accepted. So I've had a lot of fun there, and I've met most of you guys there, I think, actually. So yeah, it's a good place. You should check it out.
Cool. Okay, then next I have Paul.
That me?
Yeah, you.
Hello, I'm Paul, also known as Cat Weasel. I also do solo playthroughs, just for laughs. I don't do any tutorials or any of that rubbish. Don't do what I do. It's just a question of come along and watch a grown man get his ass kicked by primitive card-based AI systems. That's it. It's just to have a few laughs and everything. So I got into Tube Tables as well. I only started gaming last year and got onto BGG just to check rules out and stuff. And basically started watching YouTube to see how to play the games that I just bought and got into the whole thing that way. And had a video camera and just started, and that was it. And here I am now. Here I am now, having a chat with everybody. It's brilliant. So welcome to everybody, and I'll let somebody else have a go now.
Okay. Next I have Frenzy Kitty on my screen.
Cool. So yeah, my name is Gareth, and same as the others, got a YouTube channel called Frenzy Kitty, and on the channel I do all sorts of random stuff. It's very sort of unstructured, but it's we'll do playthroughs and tutorials and reviews, and then a lot of thoughts and sort of talky, chatty, conversational kind of things. And yeah, and then I sort of stumbled upon the guild through a tragic by watching, because I went through a bit of an Arkham horror phase. And stumbled upon it through his playthrough videos and met all these amazing people that we're talking with today. So yeah, it's a great group. So yeah, it's my story.
Your story, you're sticking to it. All right. Finally, we got Ant Lab.
So hi, my name is Anthony. I have a channel on YouTube called Ant Lab Games. It's probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years going on now. What basically started out as just something fun to do with a camera, turned out to be, it kind of caught on. So my channel mainly covers solitaire solo playthroughs. I don't do tutorials, but surprisingly, a lot of people seem to use my videos as tutorials. But I always put the disclaimer in there that the rules are not easy, and rules while you're taping are even harder. So just keeping all that straight in your head, especially when doing a solitaire playthrough, is quite challenging. So, but I've been in the hobby. I mean, I've been a board game lover since I was a kid, getting my first copy of Hero Quest, which I still have, by the way. And since, I went through a lull, got into video games for a while, but started to swing back into board games. So, I don't know what it is. I think it's the cardboard. The whole setup, just the peacefulness of a board game is nice. So I guess my collection's kind of swelled through this YouTube thing, so I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing, because it's cost me quite a bit over the past few years. So just got into trading, though, now on Board Game Geek. Highly recommend it. Huge. I've probably done about, I'd say, 10 trades, 10 games in the last couple weeks, which is great, especially if you plan on doing playthroughs, because you know how it is, going out to buy the games, to do the playthroughs, and to find time to play them and store them. It's massive, so... But I think I've rambled on quite a bit. So there it is, Ant Lab Games.
well, let's talk about that trade thing, because I've done it in the past. But how do you mostly do it? Just by, well, everybody in general. How do you do it? Do you just go by, the Board Game Geek as a direct trade, or do you do mass trades, or how do you guys go about doing it?
I guess I could jump in first since I've been doing it a lot lately. So basically, Board Game Geek, I use their sort of trading tool, and it's a little bit confusing at first because you have to essentially populate your collection in the website, and before you can even think about doing trades, you have to put them in there, and you have to identify which games are for trade, and then you have to add games that you don't have that you want. So you're creating this massive list, and then the tool can say, okay, here's everybody who has the game you want that matches up with their wants on the games that you want to trade away. And then finally it shows you where it is. But then once you get that set up, it's great because you can decide if you want to only trade with people from a certain country because of shipping costs. And it's so far it's been phenomenal. So you just throw out a bunch of trade offers and then hope somebody bites, you know.
Yeah, it seems like there's a bit of a learning curve. Whenever I see the words math trade, I'm like, no. I don't understand that.
Has anyone here done a math trade? That kind of scares me.
I've done a few.
Okay.
They're not as bad as people think. You gotta get used to that software they use. What is it called? Game Wish Generator? I forget the exact name of it. You gotta get used to that a little bit. After that, it's pretty easy. So I'm curious of you people on the other side of the pond. What is trading like for you guys? Because I know shipping's ungodly over there.
Yeah, ungodly is definitely a word that comes to mind. I'm a bit of a, I like to say like I'm a sentimental, but I'm a hoarder essentially when it comes to my games. So I don't even I've got games that I haven't played in years that are sitting on the shelf. I've only traded away one thing, and that was just to a local guy that I found through a Facebook group. Because it definitely, there's the other side of the pond, and then there's where I live, which is like the other side of the pond on the other side of the road, down behind the bushes somewhere. So I really am sort of out in the sticks a little bit. So we have a few like local Facebook and sort of like instant messaging groups. It's all been local stuff for me. Yeah, the shipping would just be wouldn't really make sense. It costs more to ship the game than it does for just to actually buy the thing. So
Seems like most of the comments I see from you, Frenzy, are, man, I want that game, but the shipping cost, there's no way I can get it.
then I tell you, that shipping cost, man, it's every time.
I've seen it from you so much, I feel like I'll just mail him something.
Yeah, that's in that case, I'm not going to stop. Oh man,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I've only been in the hobby 5 minutes, so I've traded nothing, man.
You'll get there, don't worry.
Pry it out my cold, dead hands. So, fortunately, I've been quite lucky. There've been no games I've played up to now that I've felt the need to trade away. And I'm a lot luckier than Frenzy in that being in the UK, the shipping isn't that bad. It's certainly not as bad as for Australia and South Africa and places like that where it is exceedingly bad. And, it's soul destroying, isn't it? You want to buy a game and you've got to pay the same amount again for the shipping. It's ridiculous.
This talk about trade just brings up a point, and the reason I started trading just a few things was just purely from like a logistical and a space point of view, because I've got a sort of a limited amount of space that I can dedicate to the thing before it gets a bit weird and people are having to like climb over cardboard boxes to get to the lounge or whatever. There we go. Exactly. I wanted to ask you guys: do you trade? Is it just because it's something you're not going to play, or is it like is the logistics of storing the stuff a consideration?
Anyone want to go on it? Or? Oh, I'll go since these guys are thinking about it. For me, it's kind of a double thing here. Jen has games that are older than I am. Jen's a few years older than I am. So for her, it's sentimental, and it's like Paul was saying, you got pride over dead hands. For me, if a game is set on a shelf, for the most part, there's some exceptions, but if it's sat on the shelf, not played for 6-8 months, a year, then it's time for it to go. There's no more interest. For the most part, there's a few games that I keep that just the player count doesn't allow to get to the table.
Sure.
So that's my main reason for trading off games. Space issue, recently that's started to become an issue. You can see behind me there's some of these cheap Walmart shelves. I'm going to build my own wall of games is what I'm calling it. And so after I get that up, we'll see what the space issue is now. But Jen has a thing about light coming in through the window, so I can't go up with the shelves. You got to be low behind me. You know, I don't understand why, but she needs sunlight. So after I get the wall games up, I'll see if it's a space issue still. Right now, it kind of is. You see, there's 3 low bookshelves behind me here, and then there's a tall one here next to me, and there's one there. And I got games in boxes in the other room just because I don't have the space for them right now on the shelves.
I guess what I'm trying to avoid is really ending up with a wall like Nick Meanahan on Board Game Brawl. Or
That thing is going to fall in and kill him one day.
at some point it is, because it's carrying more than just games now. It's games, knickknacks, collectibles. It's got a bit of everything. So that's kind of not what I want to have. I like having a full bookshelf, maybe another one here and there, but not. I don't think I'm a massive wall of games. And I think when I start to have piles that go above 5 or 6 games on the floor, that's when I know I need to start either selling some off or trading them away.
Yeah, my management method is divide and conquer, because a wall of games looks like, whoa, you need to get rid of some of those. But if you have a few in every room, it doesn't seem as bad. So I have the games I like in my room. I have the games the kids like in their room. I have the family games in the family room and the unused games in a closet. So because I'm the wife, most guys have to hide their games from the wife. Since I am the wife, I'm the only one who knows where everything is in this house. So I can squirrel things away and no one finds them. So I really don't trade games. I just tuck them away in corners and nobody else cleans up the house. So I'm the only one who knows where they live. Yeah, I'm lucky that way.
No worries.
Before we continue, and I forget, for the viewers, there is a chat there. Questions, just type it in. Somebody will be watching the chat, and I'll get back to you on that. I always forget to say that when I do one of these, so do it right up front here.
It's Barry, can you boot Pencil Parley off? All he's doing is telling the games that he's bought for next to nothing. And he's winding me up, man.
Oh, I like Pencil Polly. Leave him.
Alright, so that's your warning, Pencil Polly. Well, since you brought it up, how do you guys deal with trolls and all that? I mean, I've only blocked a couple people.
You're not a troll.
Not that Pencil Polly's a troll. I'm just saying.
Speaking of trolls.
Yeah, not that he's a troll. I'm just saying. I've only blocked 2 comments that I can think of. They were racial nonsense. The one, and the other one was something that just really pissed me off, and I don't remember what it was. So, how do you guys deal with that?
I think that's a cool thing we have going on at Tube Tables. If you've ever been over there, people submit sort of questions for the group. And I think wasn't this one that came up at one point is how do you deal with trolls and comments? And
I think it was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good question. It was a good question.
Yeah. I guess we all hope not to have that troll, right? But I've had one, and fortunately it wasn't, I mean, it's not fortunate, but it wasn't directed at me, which I was kind of grateful for. But it was actually directed at the game designer for Warhammer Quest, the new card game, which I found to be really, really good, and so did so many people. But this person just constantly, and because one of the designers was posting comments on the video, this person felt they needed to go directly at this designer, and it was just getting ridiculous. But he never responded, which I thought was good. At some point I was going to just start hiding the comments or removing them, but I'm like, well, if I start doing that, then I'm going to start having to get rid of everything. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've only ever had sort of one really bad experience, and I think I didn't handle it maybe in the best way, because I think the worst mistake I made was just responding to the person in the first place, and that's exactly obviously what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think the more you engage, the more it kind of ingrains itself in your brain, and you can't really forget about it. The best thing to do is just block, ban, whatever, and then you forget about it. But I think as soon as you start sort of interacting, then it sort of becomes more real maybe, and more sort of a part of your experience, and then it's just like, oh, not worth it.
Yeah.
But people are people are rubbish for the most part. So you just kind of ignore it. Although I think like if I look at YouTube as a whole, I think that in terms of sort of our sort of subset being sort of tabletop gaming videos, I think we're quite lucky in terms of that. We don't really have too much of that sort of thing. If you compare it to sort of other videos, like
That's true.
I mean, if we see a troll, it's like, holy macaroni! Like, I mean, I've been making YouTube videos for 3.5, 4 years maybe now, and I mean, I've only ever had one, so that's like, I only have a few subscribers, so it's not really. I have a comment that was like exciting, but yeah, no, I still get it on my phone. I'm like, yay! This is exciting.
I think the only ones I outright delete are the weirdly sexual ones. Those are the ones where I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna remove that altogether. I get a lot of weird.
Me and you, Chrissy, I get them all the time.
No, you know what I'm talking about. I get people asking me about my feet a lot, and I think it's because I know. I think it's because I game with my hands, and a lot of people want to know if my feet are like my hands. It's really bizarre.
That's just bizarre.
It's really disturbing. So those I just flat out delete, and I don't even feel bad about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not here for that. I mean,
I've
maybe
only
I
had to
should,
delete
but
one thing, and that was it's pretty much like Barry said. Somebody just came on and made some weird like comment about the master race and stuff like this, and I thought, well, it wasn't even about the video. It was one of those where people's just going round and copy and pasting comments, probably on about 60,000 websites. So I got rid of that one, but other than that, I keep them on, to be honest. But I'll certainly be keeping my eyes open for any questions about my feet.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's disturbing. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we had a question in the comments here. We pulled up about our all-time favorite game. Who was it?
Okay.
Desert Raven Gamer. He wanted to know what our all-time favorite games are.
It's a tough one.
I can go first because I think I know what mine is anyway. And it's hands down for me, Agricola. It was it was a game that sort of came along for me quite early in my sort of foray into hobby board gaming. And when I first started, I was like Last Night on Earth and like the real sort of a merry trash kind of junky kind of games. I mean, lovely and fun and sort of stupid and popcorn. But Agricola was like my first proper Euro game, and it just like totally opened my mind to what a game could be in terms of sort of a puzzle as well as an experience. And it was like, wow. And I mean, ever since then, I was just on a complete Euro bend. And even now, I've got things like Caverna and all the other sort of Uwe Rosenberg games, but that one for me is just still like such a milestone for me in my sort of gaming story that it's still a classic. And you know what, I think if I was objective about it, I would probably say, oh, something like Caverna's replaced it, but I think the sentiment is so real, you know, from my gaming history, that's for me sort of the thing that kind of always rises to the top. Is Agricola.
Okay. Well, speaking about janky murder trash games, mine would be Arkham Horror. I'd like it more than Eldritch Horror. I think me and Paul talked about that. I just recently bought every expansion there is for it, so yeah, that would be mine. I don't plan on playing them all at once. I've heard horror stories about that, especially like somebody was telling me they played every expansion or was with it with like 8 people, and I said, you're just insane. You should be in a mental hospital. There's, you know.
Yep, move directly to Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Do not pass go. Do not get linked to.
Yeah, but I think that would be Hiroshima Hex is getting up there too. The more I play it, the more I enjoy that one.
Yeah, I think like Frenzy, the game that for me like turned on board games was Pandemic. And I remember going through a time when we played Pandemic back to back to back, trying to master and get that game. So I have really fond memories of that one.
That's actually my gateway game.
Yeah, it was mine for sure. And it's the one I use to get people into it. It's such a lovely little cooperative game.
I'll jump in and say my probably my favorite game, even though I don't get to play it as often as I'd like, but when I do play it, I really do enjoy it, is Descent, Second Edition.
Mm.
For some reason, I keep going back to these Ameritrash dice chucking, dungeon crawling games, and I have a thing for miniatures, and I have to paint them, and the problem is I can't play a game unless I paint the miniatures. So I won't play a game without painted miniatures. So it's really put a lot of games on my backlog. Like I bought Imperial Assault about a year ago, and I'm still painting those miniatures. So I haven't played it yet. And it's
Yeah, for me, it's gluing miniatures. I still have Shadows of Brimstone on my
Oh.
shelf. I didn't realize you had to glue that stuff. Oh, it's never going to happen.
that
Oh, it's a
one,
nightmare.
yeah, that was a nightmare.
I just finished that one off.
Did you? I'm thinking of like bringing my Descent miniatures into Shadows of Brimstone and just playing it that way. Or would that be total sacrilege? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would probably.
Like, I think they're spiders. I'll just swap them in. It's all good. But yeah, that one I think is going to languish a long time.
That's true. I didn't think anything could get worse than Super Dungeon Explorer until I opened Shadows of Brimstone.
Yeah, that was a disappointment.
Yeah.
That was the second game I bought.
Baptism by fire.
Oh, my first game I bought was Arkham Horror.
Wow.
I just went
So out of the frying pan into another frying pan, basically.
Yeah.
Really.
went straight from like playing Monopoly 20 years ago. I thought, oh, this Arkham Horror sounds brilliant. And went slight lie. I got Discworld and Moorpork first. And I thought, oh, this is brilliant. But after Christmas, turned round to the family, said, hey, do you want to play again? They went, no. We only play board games at Christmas. I was like, all right. And then, obviously, I learned about co-ops. So, straight in at the deep end, Arkham Horror, love it. Absolutely love it. And then, I'm just a sucker for theme, me. I love theme. It's just brilliant. So, Arkham Horror, love Lovecraft. And the Shadows of Brimstone as well. I thought, wow, that's brilliant. I've got to buy that. And then, of course, open the box. Similar to Chris, I'm like, oh my god. Now I've got to buy a load of like paints, glue, bloody like little files.
Yeah.
Really, and like Anthony as well, I've got to paint them, man. I've at least got to paint the heroes.
Yes.
So I'm just doing some Zombicide Black Plague now, and I had to paint the hero.
Yeah. Did you get the custom paint kit for that?
I did, yeah.
Yes.
It's costing me a fortune, this hobby.
Yeah. They threw in a little can of primer because of the late shipping on that. I don't know if you were affected by that.
No. I bought the primer separately. That goes
on
down.
retail.
There's nothing like sneaking out into the garden to do a bit of priming while the missus is making sure it's not going on the flags.
But I do have to say though that game, the Black Plague, I kickstarted it, so I'm still waiting on all of the stretch goals. But that has some of the finest miniatures I think I've seen in a while. They're really well done, detail-wise.
Does anybody do miniature gaming, like the tabletop, where the roll and all that?
I play Infinity, the Corvus Belli miniatures game. That sort of hard sci-fi. So.
Those miniatures unboxings you do, they look absolutely amazing.
They are exquisite. So, like, ever since I started playing this, I look at sort of board game miniatures and I think, it's obviously a totally different league, and it's not trying to be that, but you get quite spoiled, I think, with the level of detail that they get on these things. Yeah. But yes, I play that. That's my sort of miniatures poison.
Is it harder to get that type of game to the table than a regular board game, or not?
Oh yeah, and especially for me because I think that because I got into it like long after I started playing games, and I sort of approached it from a board gamer's perspective and thought, okay, well I'm gonna get this game, I'm gonna be the one who's gonna have to show it to people. So I think with other miniatures games and sort of where there's a community, people will buy one army and that's it. But I went and I bought like 4. And started painting, and I mean they're like tiny little metal miniatures, so it's like the whole process of just getting enough to get 2 sort of armies on the table has taken ages. But yeah, so it's you just sort of learn to enjoy the process, and that's quite nice. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just started getting into painting. I think I enjoy it. I have a hard time because the hands are, big and all that, but I have a hard time with the brush holding it still. I got shocked too much for working on the trains, I guess, but I am starting to enjoy it. Shadows of
What?
Brimstone, like I said, I just got in that. The miniatures were horrible. I don't understand some of the way they connected to the sprues. It's like an important joint that they were connected to the sprue and all that. But
Yeah, a big mold line right in the middle of the face. It's like,
yeah,
Yeah.
clearly didn't think that one through. Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to use that green stuff, aren't you, for the gaps? And I thought, I'm not buying that as well, so I just used blue tack.
I
Thing that you
I
put
just try to-
posters
I
up with.
I just try to paint over it so you can't see the. It's. I figure
Just
tabletop.
put a load of paint in there till it
That's
fills
it.
up.
It all fills up. That's fine with me. Tabletop.
I used crazy glue and baking soda. I mixed that up. It acted like a putty almost.
Oh really?
I think it's quite strange, like you spend so much time working on these things like up close, and you don't realize that like it's going to be at such a distance that you're going to see it that none of that stuff matters really. You can throw like 2 colors on it and be done, and people say, "Oh, it looks amazing." Is anything, I mean, even if you're a terrible painter, it still looks better than an unpainted miniature, no matter how bad the paint job is.
That's what I liked about Runebound 3rd Edition. You only have to paint the heroes. So it's like 6 characters, and I'm good. I can actually play this game.
All right, so we got a follow-up question from the Raven Gamer. On the flip side, what game have you bought that you immediately hated? So you burned it, destroyed it, sold it.
Wow.
He's a little angry there.
That escalated quickly there.
Yeah. So, anybody?
I'll go. Because I have one that sort of stands out as well. It is I don't know if any of you played this Panic Station. This stronghold game designed by that guy David Oslus, who also did Dark, Darker, Darkest, and yeah. Oh, what a terrible, terrible accident that was. And the worst thing about it is it's like I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, The Thing. It's sort of that theme. Like you're stuck in this sort of Arctic ice station, and there's like a social deduction element, and so someone's like the infected, and they're moving around. But the thing the rules were terrible. The thing just fell apart, and that was the frustrating part. Because you look at the components, and you're like, there's an amazing game hidden in here, but it's not in this rule book. It's like someone could take those components, give it to like a good designer, and they could make something amazing. But unfortunately, it was just let down by poor rules. But like the expectation was like, it's like the thing, and when it's disappointing is the word.
Wow.
And I'm like getting a little emotional. I'm getting a little pull myself together. Come on.
I talk to Lance Moister every week, and he swears by a print and play copy of the thing. He says it feels just like the movie. So if you're interested in it, anybody else?
Surprisingly, this is a more recent game, but I mean, there's been quite a few that I've not liked. But this one stood out because I picked it up. I had a buddy over. We were going to play it. We tore it open. We started playing it, and I absolutely hated it. And even though I loved Star Realms, the card game, I thought that was really good, really quick, really easy. But the one I'm talking about is Cthulhu Realms, which is basically the same type of game, just in that Lovecraftian universe. But oh my God, there's just symbols on top of symbols on top of symbols, where it gets to a point where you're playing cards and they're triggering other cards that are triggering other cards, and I'm trying to track 10 different triggers on a card to come up with how much damage I did to this guy. It's just too much. Like I need Excel to track what I'm doing each move, and I'm like, this would probably be fine if I was playing it on like an iPad, but to do it on the table, it's just too much. You get to a point where it's just too much information to track, too much accounting. I can't take that. So not for me.
So do you think the game's just fiddly or overpowered?
I mean, I think it might work for some who are okay with that, but I don't think it's fiddly. I just think there's just too much reliance on these iconography or symbology where you have to like really remember what each of these symbols mean, and on some of the arts they blend so you can't see them sometimes. So it's just too much of that lately. I don't know if it's just easier to do that versus writing text on cards anymore. It's just not for me. I have it still. I have to get rid of it though. I don't think I can get rid of it. Maybe I'll donate it.
Have you played that also by the same guys, Epic, that card game?
I've not actually.
Yeah, I've been looking at that. It looks interesting. I'm beginning to give it a go.
I wanted to try that because it looked pretty interesting. It's kind of like my theme. I like that fantasy theme. And they had it at Gen Con, and they were playing it, and they were demoing it, and I just didn't have time to sit and do it. But it looked good from what I saw.
There's only one game I've actively destroyed, and it's not a board game. Anybody remember the Spectrum from the depths of time? And there was a little cassette called The Hobbit, and God, that game just drove me mad. And you put it in, and it'd chug away, and it'd offer you these stupid like you'd have ridiculous choices to make, and I'd be sat there thinking, oh God, what to do? And then Thorin kept sitting down and singing about gold, and buddy, if you thought for too long, Thorin would start sitting down and singing about gold, and buddy Gandalf was a right pain. And in the end, I took it out of the little cassette player and stamped on it. And that's the only game of Thorin sang about gold once too often, and that's the only game I've actively destroyed. Oh, there's a good question for you here, Gareth, I think, about print and plays. Haven't you just done one for Apicultura, is it?
Yeah, Apicultura.
Yeah.
What was the question, sir?
Hang on. It's from Jason Clark, I think. He says, do any of you craft print and plays, and if so, what has been your favourite?
I've done a couple. I did. I've obviously done some of the ones that I've designed, like Apicultura, which is the one I did about beekeeping and honey production and that sort of thing. But one of the print and plays that I can recommend, which is really, really nice, is a World War II game called Unconditional Surrender Case Blue. It's basically it's one of the missions out of Unconditional Surrender, which is one of these big GMT hex encounter games. But it's just like really nice, beautiful components. Not a lot of actual crafting. It's a few pages, but just from a gameplay point of view, it's like rich and deep for very little sort of effort, which is what I aim for in pretty much every aspect of my life. Maximum sort of enjoyment from minimal effort.
Okay.
I haven't, but there's two I'm thinking about. I'm a big Stephen King fan, and one is the Shining. There's a print and play version of The Shining, and for Arkham Horror, I think it was, there is a scenario with the Gunslinger crew, which was part of the Dark Tower series, and the Gunslinger is probably one of my all-time favorite books. So I've been thinking about that, but to be honest with you, it's just a lot of effort and time to print and play any game.
Yeah, I mean it's a hobby into itself, you know.
Anybody else?
Yeah, the only one I've done is Gareth's Beekeeper game. That was fun. We had a good time with that.
Oh, the honey game. Cool. I'm glad. Yeah, I've done like an update to it, so I'll send you the new files. It's just
okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, cool. I'm glad. Thanks. Very kind. Very kind. Your check is in the mail.
I'll wait to cash it.
Just wait till you get the shipping. It's coming from South Africa.
Really? It'll probably have like postage due on it.
The most expensive compliment you've ever paid anyone.
All right, so I'm curious about the process you guys do. I don't know if the viewers will be, but screw them, it's my channel. How do you guys go about filming a game?
I just generally fling it on the table. A bit goes into it regarding space. You've got to I tend to lay it out first, and then I'll position the camera and see what's best. Because I think at the beginning I just kept knocking the camera all the time because it was always in the way and everything. So I had to. In the end, I got one of those like boom mic stands, so I could pretty much operate around it. Before I was just using a normal sort of camera tripod, and I was kept kicking it and all sorts of stuff. But other than that, put it on the table and just position the lights really, because you know, just to make sure that people can see what's there, and it's good for me because I'm like Mr. Magoo. I've got to have good lighting or I can't see what I'm doing. I can't read the cards, so that's pretty much what I do. I just make sure everything's in shot, and then make sure the lighting's good, and just switch it on and off we go.
Yeah, lighting probably is the hardest part. I run around the room looking for what table I can shove up against a window, and how long I can be there before the light ruins everything. So getting lighting is just horrible. You wouldn't think it would be, but man.
Oh yeah, get that. If it comes through the window and you get those slats going across the board.
I know.
Unfortunately, I come from Manchester, England, so that doesn't happen a lot. But
I'm in Oregon, so I hear you too.
it's normally just hammering it down, but yeah, you're there, and then you start, so you're propping things up against drawing curtains and stuff.
Or slowly shoveling it down the table, and yeah, it's I'm sure people have, cats. I have kids who think it's the most fun to come in when I'm not there and move things around on me. So there's always that moment when you realize that there's a character that wasn't on the board when you started, or
that doesn't surprise me, Chrissy. I saw them all cheating yesterday.
Did you? They're horrible, aren't they? I know. They're horrible cheaters.
Mind you, weren't you the first person to cheat?
I was. I like to start early on computing. So I like, before anyone's ready for it, I try to cheat as much as possible. Because once they suspect you, then it's over. So you got to cheat early and often is my motto. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my setup, I did the camera, the other tripod thing, like Paul was saying, but it would be stationary. I wasn't moving around like a lot of guys do. It's just I digitally zoom it in and out and all that. But recently I bought it's like a backdrop hanger. It's like 10 foot and it goes up 10 foot and you can hang backdrops on it. But I've been hooking cameras up to that and my lighting system. I still digitally zoom it in and out. Eventually, I would like to get a little closer and moving a tripod around. It's just tough to do with Jen. She fidgets, she hits the cameras and the TVs, the table and the microphones. I went through an ungodly amount of racking my brain out trying to figure out how to get a microphone on her without her fidgeting with it. It's a learning experience. I've been doing this for like 2 years and I'm still trying to figure it all out. Especially like you said with the lighting. With my lighting turns everything like a blue. Yeah.
I think for me, it all kind of depends on sort of what it is that I'm trying to film. For the sort of coffee and cardboard stuff, there was a lot more like sort of well thought out. That was like your proper sort of camera tripod, lapel microphone setup, all of that. But for a lot of the design stuff, I wanted something I could do kind of just quickly. Especially because it's a lot of it's revolving around the computer. And then I got the little webcam for the kind of the rough and ready, just quickly want to churn something out. But for something more structured and more sort of official, then I'll get the camera and tripod and just pick a really nice backdrop and then hope that I'm in focus and talk all around.
So my style has pretty much changed, I guess, over the last, I'd say in the past year, I've gotten into. I guess I found my groove, sort of, right? So what works best for you, what you're able to get through quickly and be happy with the end result. And I think initially the first game I filmed, I had sort of the camera over my shoulder and I was playing the game, so you could just really see my hands. And I think it was Alien, Legendary Alien. So I was playing the game and you could see the cards and all that, but a lot of it was just again, over my shoulder watching me play, so there wasn't a ton of editing. It was just really capturing the game flow. Where now I basically, the tripod and camera get front stage, it's all done in my desk in my office, really. And it just films the game board, but I'm standing the whole time basically next to the camera. So when I do a playthrough video, it's done in probably 100 shots now of each individual move on the board. Because I find that most people who watch my tapes are pretty much interested in more game flow and looking at the components and really just testing their knowledge of the rules, because I have probably the biggest fleet of rules lawyers who watch my videos and come back with every little misstep I made. Even if I didn't make the misstep but didn't happen to capture it on film, a certain move, well, you forgot to do this at this particular second on this particular move. I'm like, okay, I get it. Well, actually, then sometimes I'll have to go back and say, well, if in the next 30 seconds you see I correct that. So it's like as soon as they find them, they want to point them out, which is great because it gets me to add comments or notifications to the video to show them what I've done wrong, because I don't want anybody to think that what I'm saying is, hey, this is how you play it, because if I mess something up royally, then I don't want them to go and play on their own, because again, most people who watch them probably are looking to get the solitaire or solo variants, and no one's there to correct them. Because I run into the same problem. No one's there to correct me if I make a huge oversight. And rules manuals aren't the clearest anymore. Like you read through something, I may interpret it one way. You may interpret it something completely different, and odds are you're probably right. So I go to Board Game Geek, but before I even can start filming, I play at least half a dozen games beforehand. Like right beforehand, I go boom, boom, boom. So it'll take me about a week of playthroughs before I actually film it, because I know if I were to film the first time I've gotten halfway through a playthrough and I'm like, oh wow, I really missed this rule entirely. I'm gonna have to go and start this whole thing over. I'll just pack it up for the night and say I'll get it tomorrow. So it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, I did a whole playthrough of Gates of Loyang and misdid the scoring for the entire game. Sent it up to video, and good old Stasia emailed me very politely and said, Chrissy, I think you might be scoring that wrong. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I deleted the whole thing, and I've never gone back. I was so disgusted after all of that. Because that is a long-ass game.
It is.
Didn't you just do it, Anthony?
I just did it. I just got a copy. I was really late to the party on this. And of course, when I go to finally get interested in a game, it's out of print. It always happens to me. Same thing happened with Rootmound's second edition. I went and wanted a copy of it, and wow, lo and behold, you can only get it on eBay for like $100. So this was the same thing, but I fortunately got a copy of it, and I got to say, I think it's a fantastic game, and I think I got most of the rules right. Not too much feedback on some of it.
But I could never break 16 for the score, and I could never figure out why. I'm like, man, it says I suck at this game according to the solo rule. It's because I was misscoring it for the entire time. Yeah. So do you guys do games that are out of print? I mean, do you think about that when you're picking a game to do? Like, I have so many old games now that are out of print. I wonder if I should even bother, playing them.
You mean as in doing a video?
Yeah.
Good.
I think people do enjoy seeing them. I enjoyed watching a Hero Quest one. I think it was Tina the Board Gamer did. And, apart from the fact that Pencil Parley got it for £2.40, and now it'd probably cost me, it'd probably cost me 60 quid to get it. But
easily.
But I just get so many comments saying like, how do I get this game? It looks great. Where do I find it? And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's gone.
But it's like, I don't know if you've seen that Tom Vassel's got that sort of rule that he has where he says, if a game is really amazing, then it'll come back into print, and if not, well, then it won't. But I do think that there is still value in I'd happily watch something that's out of print if for no other reason than like, wow, this is a piece of gaming history, And I mean, with the variety of games that are out there, you can generally, you can't find a particular game, you can find something that'll scratch a fairly similar itch. Without necessarily being exactly the same thing. If you can't get Agricola, then you get Caverna, and it'll get you where you need to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
This is actually something I've been thinking about a lot. I don't have too many games that are out of print, but I do have a couple. Most of my videos are something you get readily available, or on occasion they'll be coming out soon. But I do have Navajo Wars, which will be in print eventually. It's part of their P500 series thing. That it's coming back. It's just they gotta get enough pre-orders, I guess, to do it. And somebody asked me specifically to do a video on that because that's kind of tough one to wrap your head around. It took me about 4 plays to do it. The rulebook isn't really that. I don't want to say it's that great. It's a war game setup, and a lot of people in board games just don't understand the rule sets for war games. You know.
Yeah, they're dense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I've been going back and forth on that. I think eventually I am going to do it, but for the most part, I try to stay away from things that are out of print on my channel. I do enjoy watching other people do games that are out of print, you know. But for me, I pretty much stay away from them.
Is Gears of War still available? Do you guys know? That was when I got requested, and I was like, I don't know if that's.
I don't think so. I think that's out of print as well.
I think it is. Yeah. I would watch that.
Good one. You would?
Yeah, I
Okay.
would watch.
Second. Okay, good to know. Good.
I think you'd be alright. If you just mentioned at the beginning it's out of print, don't spam the channel.
Yeah.
I can't help you there.
Yeah, I just got, talking about eBay and stuff, I just got Tannhauser, which is obviously out of print.
Oh yeah, that looks.
And
good.
I had to pay, and I had to get Operation Novgorod as well. That came up. So that cost me a bit more than I wanted to pay, but I'd love to do a playthrough of that. I'd just like, again, theme again, and the whole Hellboy thing, I'd just love to, so I probably will do that. That'll go onto the channel.
Oh,
I'll
nice.
look at the solo
definitely watch that
area.
too. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I also picked up a copy of Tannhauser recently. A guy was selling it, and I just I couldn't resist. You know, it's one of those. Just because you know it's out of print, you're like, oh, you know, it's not gonna an opportunity like this isn't gonna come along every day. So you fork out a fortune for the thing, and it sits on the shelf unplayed. That's really it. So.
You'll play it one day.
One day.
One day.
I know. I
It's on
just
my
bought
bucket
Fury
list.
of Dracula.
Oh,
The
the
new one.
The reprint, the new one. I mean,
For the sole reason, the only reason I bought it was because before they reprinted it, everyone was saying Fury of Dracula is my grail game. You can't find it. Blah blah blah. So when it finally came back in print, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get it because everyone was always talking about loving this game. So.
That actually was one of my girl games, and I do enjoy the new print. I haven't played the other ones. I had an opportunity to play the second edition, but I didn't make it for some reason. But I do enjoy this version of it. It's a little long, but
never played it. Is that something you can solo, or is that only group only game?
Yeah.
It's
believe
one
it's
against many, so it'll be a little tough to solo, but you can. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a hidden movement game, so.
Yeah.
soloing it might be hard.
We had another question here. What was it? Raven Gamer again. He says, "What games are we looking forward to in 2016?"
Ooh.
That I can see on your channels as a playthrough.
For me, a definite one is Scythe, the Jamie Stegmaier game.
Yeah.
I kickstarted the living hell out of that.
Yes. I'm a little perplexed with that one though, because JV claims it's a 4X game, but there's no Explore. You know, he's missing an X.
Triple X just didn't. It was a bit of a, you know. It's a Triple X game from Jamie Stegmaier.
That actually is one of my biggest regrets. Was not kickstarting that one because it's right up my alley.
You know what'll happen in a year's time? They'll have a Kickstarter for the deluxe edition, and we'll all feel like idiots. So you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be alright.
So I'm definitely going to pick that up though, one way or another, for sure.
Yeah, it does look good.
One game I'm really looking forward to, and I first saw it in a video at Gen Con last year, is a game called New Bedford. And I kickstarted it. Yes, I kickstarted that as well. That just looked, heavy in theme, really good worker placement type, little town and whaling. It just, hit a lot of good points with me. So it was just different, and I'm really, really anxious to see that one. Should be a couple months, I think. We should get it.
Yeah, there's I did the print and play for that one just to sort of test it out. It's a lovely game.
It's good. All right, awesome.
Chrissy?
I think next I do the Ownerim card game series. I don't know if you guys,
Okay.
it's a solo card game, and it's the one I started out with on my channel. And they released it as a second edition. They released a follow-up game called Sylveon, and the third one that just came out is Castilion. And so I'm going to do that one next. It's a solo tile laying game. Looks really cool. And then I'm thinking of either Gears of War or Astra something. It's another sort of space infantry solo playable game. Um, Astra Terra. I can't remember what it's called. I just got it the other day. So I don't know. I'm in a Space Marine theme right now, I guess.
Yeah.
That's okay, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Paul?
What are you going to do, Paul?
Oh, sorry.
He's not even here.
No, I was just checking. I was just going through the questions. Yeah, the one I'm looking forward to is Sword and Sorcery, which I kickstarted.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's just right down my alley. That sort of
They're the
thing.
makers of Galaxy Defenders.
That's it. Yeah, I think they're using the same sort of mechanisms and stuff in it, but the change of theme sort of brought me into it. I thought about getting Galaxy Defenders, but I'm not really much of a sci-fi sort of guy. So the Sword and Sorcery one though I really liked, so I thought, oh, I'll go for that, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Galaxy Defenders has a good just solo AI. It's just straightforward, so it's nice. It's a nice game of solo. So if that one's in the same same sort of mechanism but new theme, then it should be good, real good.
Talking about solo AIs, I wanted to ask you: have you played Fire in the Lake?
Ooh, no, but it's on my would like to try, but it's got a lot of pieces, and I mean a lot. And I heard the rulebook is huge too.
There's two of them, and they're like 60 pages each.
Yeah, that's about.
But if you're interested in like solo play and AI, it's just unbelievably well thought out and well constructed, and just, I mean, what's interesting is like there's four factions. It's the ARVN, the VC, the NVA, and the US. It's like a Vietnam game, and basically, what's so interesting is that the AI is like it's like a flowchart kind of thing, but for the US one in particular, it acts differently depending on who's president at the time in that historical period. So whether it's whoever it was, Nixon or whatever, the AI will actually act differently. I just thought that was so interesting.
Oh, that definitely is on my list of would love to try. So
yeah, I was like
I wanted to
skeptical
pick that one up.
Oh, you have to. It was my first sort of big GMT coin game, and I was like, oh, very hesitant to pull the trigger because it is a beast. But like, oh, just amazing.
I just actually bought my first GMT game. I've never been into war games. I don't know why. And until my buddy let me borrow one, and I literally just pre-ordered one, and it came in. I think it's somewhere over there, but it's Silent Victory. It's called.
Is that the submarine game?
Submarine game in the United States. It was, I guess, it's sort of a follow-up to the Hunters, the German submarine one.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried the German submarine. My buddy let me borrow, and it was just fantastic. So I was like, I hope I'm not hooked on war games now, because that's going to open up a whole new list of games that I need to buy now. So it's terrible.
I just picked up Liberty or Death, the next one in the coin series.
That's that Harold Buchanan, hey?
I believe so. I got it at the box behind me, but I'm interested. Like I said, I was looking at Fire and Lake and all that, but it's out of print right now, I think. A lot of the coin series are.
Yeah, that's the thing with that P500, hey? It's like once the first run is done, it takes ages for the second one to come through.
But Joel Eddy highly recommended that coin series, who is probably is my favorite reviewer. His taste in gaming is a lot similar to mine.
That's drive-through review, right?
Yeah. So, well, while we're at it, who do you guys rely on reviewer-wise, or do you at all?
Good question.
I think Ricky Royal is the one who's got me to buy the most games, because he tends to be the soloist of them. A lot of reviewers I find kind of poo-poo solo gaming. I mean, I feel like solo games is kind of like the ugly bastard child of the gaming community.
Dice Tower poo-poos a lot on solo.
Secret Cabal, I love them, but man, they do not get solo games. You always rag on it. So I know. So I don't. I even Shut Up and Sit Down. A lot of them just don't kind of see the light with solo games. So I don't find a lot of solo game reviewers out there that gonna follow.
Oh, I think actually on Board Game Brawl, it seems like Nick is starting to trend
around.
more towards solo. He's like he's been trying solo games lately, so I'm hoping that opens up, his reviews to more soloable games.
I hope so too.
Because I think there's a pretty growing solo audience now. All of a sudden, it appears like a lot of folks are interested in playing solo. Nobody has time to get these gaming groups together, so you want to just sit down and spend an hour just banging out a board game.
And it's weird because you'll sit down and play a computer game by yourself for 2
Yeah,
hours.
like what's the difference, right? Or you'll play solitaire with cards. It's the same concept, but it's a little bit more thematic and a little more brainy. So
it's an AI. One's in a book and cards, and one's on a computer. So
yeah, it's not a bad thing to play solitaire.
oh, thank you, Anthony. I like you.
He can stay. He can stay.
I don't know about the rest of you. No.
I never actually really thought about that. When I'm learning a game, I'll play solo to get the rules down before I bring it to a group. But actual solo games, I recently just picked up a few from Victory Point Games, and I have a few that other companies have that can be played solo. But I really, until the Victory Point game, I never bought one specifically for solo play. No, mine, other than the Navajo Wars, because the theme just interested me.
Victory Point has a lot of good solo games, which reminds me, Dawn of the Zeds 3rd edition. That's another one of my big wants when that finally ships. I think the Chinese New Year kind of put everything on the back burner. It slowed everything down by like a month.
Yeah, I just picked up the Dawn of the Zeds because I backed Nemo's War.
Yes, I did too. Very nice.
So I piggybacked. Piggybacked on that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the 3rd edition looks really good of Dawn of the Zeds.
Yeah. Again, what Chrissy was saying about Ricky Royal, I ended up sort of putting that into the basket with Nemo's War because of Ricky's playthrough. But he's got his voice. It's amazing.
I know.
You've got people like me who are like, ah! And then you get to Ricky, and he's just like so calm and collected. He could sell you anything. He just sounds so honest. And I just believe everything he says. If he was there and he just said, "Now I want you to go and jump out of the window," I probably would. He does a really great job, and I take a lot of notice of what he does. He explains it really well, and he does a good job on new games when he gets his Kickstarters and stuff and goes through them.
Yeah.
And his videos have such a lovely pace to them. They're so just nice and gentle and sort of take you by the hand. It's good.
Yeah, very calm. He's cost me a lot of money over the years. A lot of money.
Just sorry, we were talking about solo games. I've only just sort of started dabbling in them. And what I've come across is something that I think is quite interesting. Is in terms of my game group, when they first started playing games, when I first started bringing games around, they were kind of just hungry to absorb everything. And now that they've kind of been a little bit spoiled, I think that they've almost become slightly picky with what they'll be willing to play. And if there's a particular theme that isn't, it's only 98% of their criteria, they'll probably just pass and move on to something that they like. So, for example, Fire in the Lake, which is something that I was interested in, just from a simulation point of view, was not an easy thing to get to the table, and as a result, I had to solo it just because I think once you have if you're playing games with someone who's got a big collection, you're so spoiled for choice that they have no real reason to play something that's not really up their alley. So that's kind of what's leading me into playing a lot of things like Ghost Stories and Fire in the Lake and a few of those sort of wargamey things solo.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious as to aesthetics of board games. Does that deter you from playing them? Like a lot of these board games, or war games rather, they're kind of ugly. Does that deter people? You from playing them, or not? I think a lot of board gamers that is a big issue with board game.
I'll definitely admit I'm not blown away by the GMT wargame components, right? Like the submarine games. They're little squares with text on them, right? They're really, really basic stuff. And they could have made that so much more, colorful, bright, and whatever. But I will say a game that I gotten recently that really showed me how much I care about aesthetics is Post-Human. And it's a cool game. post-apocalyptic. It's soloable. You go around. You got to get to like point number 10, 1 through 10, and you do each of these little like landscape areas. But it has like a player board that's kind of like modular, which is really cool idea. But it was probably wafer thin, so that it didn't sit flat on the table. You had to put chits in it that didn't stay in the little grooves because it was so thin. That I think they really missed the boat on being able to put a nice quality board together, and you could see where they skimped out. And just say I traded it probably a week after I got it. I posted my video and it went right up for trade. Like I knew that even though the mechanics were good, I didn't want anything else. I just couldn't take the components.
Totally underproduced, huh?
Yeah, I think so. In my opinion.
Like I don't think the aesthetics would necessarily put me off, but I'll admit that a game with good aesthetics will sort of tickle my fancy a lot quicker. So yeah, it's not so much as being put off by games with bad aesthetics. It's more like being sort of very easily excited by games with good aesthetics. I don't know if you guys have seen that Vital Lacerda game CO2.
Yeah.
No, but I have the Gallerist, and so I know.
It's beautiful
quality.
stuff.
It's
beautiful.
I've never seen cardboard so thick in a board game. It was uncanny, and
It's like they just painted the board on the side of a tree.
It was like playing on a piece of wood. It was ridiculous. I actually, as soon as I got the Gallerist and did my playthrough, I went right out and kickstarted was it Venus? Is that the one? Yeah, the new one.
Yeah.
Right now, because I know that it's going to be quality. Phenomenal production quality.
Was it done by the same publisher? See, the quality varies from publisher to publisher, so you got to watch that. It may be the same designer.
I think it's the same publishing company as well. Really nice. Was it a Griffin?
Eagle Griffin.
Eagle Griffin.
Yeah.
For me, the aesthetics help a lot. Like wargaming, I find them interesting, and I'd like to get into them a little bit more because of the historical background. I always enjoy that in a game, especially ones that tell you what happened and all that. But them little chits they drive me nuts. Like I understand why they do it because you got to hold information on that. But I've played Heroes of Normandy recently. Well, not recently, but they do such a much better job with displaying that information than, say, GMT or Columbia or one of them other games. So yeah, for me, it does kind of drive me away from the game at times.
Yeah, exactly the same here. I won't be able to see what was on the chits. I'm bad enough now. I'm just moving them around, and I'd be terrified of knocking the. They normally do them on the paper, don't they? The hex paper.
Yeah.
All it takes is a tiny. I'm clumsy as hell. They just go everywhere. And then you see people, and they've got them tweezers, haven't they, to move the.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't be doing with it.
I remember I had Unconditional Surrender on the dining room table, and I was playing, and like this, and that was the print and place. It's the tiny little thin wafer thin chits on the wafer thin board, and my girlfriend said, "Oh, she's going to move this now," not seeing the chits all over the show and just the whole thing up in the air. So no one has seen her since, basically, is what I'm saying.
Chrissy, I think you're the only one that didn't answer.
I'm trying to think of the name of when you blank out on like a game, it's Flying Frog, and it's the one where you go up against a vampire and.
I just got that. A Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil, yeah.
Yes, A Touch of Evil. Okay, the campy, larpy pictures of those people on the cards, and the way the cards are those thick, glossy, and you can't shuffle them.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that game so much because I hate the artwork and I hate the cards. The board is beautiful. It's like that drawn, mappy thing going on. And every time I pick up one of those ugly-ass cards, I'm like, I don't want to play this.
I'm absolutely 100% with you. I just got it from a trade, and the only reason it's taken this long for me to get in my collection is because they use live-action photos.
It's like bad cosplay.
Yeah,
It's bad. In fact, the pictures in the box are so bad that my kids make me hide the box. Because they put that one away, Mom! And I'm like, I agree with you guys. Now, Fortune and Glory, I have that one as well, and it works a little better there because it's kind of a campier game, but even that I don't like. I don't like the I don't like the artwork on those games. I'm sorry, I'm an art snob, I guess.
The only one of those games that actually worked on for me was that Last Night on Earth, because that I think is supposed to feel like a really bad zombie movie,
Yeah.
Okay,
and it
see,
looks like a really
I-
bad zombie movie.
But even the way the cards feel, that really glossy, sticky
And they,
finish.
yeah, I mean, and they're super, super thick, and they stick together in like clumps.
Yeah. I gave
Yeah,
it.
I
I've got to say, I love A Touch of Evil.
Paul.
I enjoy it myself.
I just love that campy. Mind you, I was brought up on Hammer House of Horror, and it just really brings that sort of old feel to me, and I love it. And I also love the midwife in it. She's gorgeous, especially when she turns into the vixen. So I'm always hoping that'll happen during the game.
For some reason, the midwife doesn't do it for me.
But yeah, it is a whole campy aesthetic on it, and I've got to admit, I do like it. I mean, some of the cards, you know, there's one of them. It's I think not, and
Yeah.
you've got this woman going like this. It just makes me crack up. So I do, but I'm fully with you on the cards. The cards are an absolute nightmare to shuffle.
Yeah, they're the only ones. I don't card any or sleeve anything, but they are one of the few that I am thinking about going out and sleeving, just because they stick together and all that. They're almost indestructible because of the coating, but
the actual the big cards, you know, for the monsters and stuff, they're thick. You know, they're really thick, good quality cardboard. It's the only unfortunate thing is obviously you've got like somebody's horrible like real life picture on it. But the actual board itself, and that's really good. They're really thick, and you can could spill coffee on them and wipe it off. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're like shellacked.
yeah.
That's the only one that pops to mind. But that's not because the components are poor. They're just ugly.
But for me, it's like it's just so bad it's good kind of thing. They go for it and they own that aesthetic, and even though it's kind of terrible, you kind of have to like give them the benefit of the doubt. At least they were brave
for the
enough
first
to
20
go with
minutes,
something.
I'm like, oh yeah, this is really cute. And then about an hour and a half in, I'm like, nope.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. You gave it a sporting chance.
I gave it a try, yeah.
A lot of people.
That's when I have
feel
to
that
try
way
again. Yeah, I have to try again Fortune and Glory, because I think I played that one in the wrong mindset. I was in like serious mode, and I think that's just supposed to be a silly game, so I think I have to try that one again.
Well, that brings up a good question. What games do you like to play? Is it those serious, you know, be the most efficient Euro gamer you can, or throw in dice and what happens happens? What kind of gamers are you?
Oh, I can't. I don't play Euro games. It's too much like work. You know, where you've got to like, all right, I've got to get all my resources together, and I've got to make sure that something goes over there and this goes over here, but I've got to bear in mind that this is going to happen, and it's like work for me, and it'd just be horrendous. I just go like, no, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to roll a load of dice and kill things. So that's why I do the whole Ameritrash thing. Euro games, it's a real struggle for me because I'm just like, oh no, I've got to think about too many things.
That's funny, because I love to play Euro solo, because I hate waiting for people to take their turn in a Euro.
Those swines.
Right? But if it's just me, I can spend 20 minutes agonizing over a decision, and no one is like, shooting me stink eye and being like, come on, just go. So I like soloing Euros for that reason, because I am a slow-ass player. Yeah. But hand management is probably my favorite. So like Mage Knight, that hand management system, oh, love it. Love it.
Did you ever play Bonanza?
Favorite game ever.
Really?
The bean game where you plant in the fields. Love that game. Yeah.
From a hand management point of view, that game is amazing.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah. I'm a hand management girl.
Yeah. For me, it's like Euros all the way. I don't know. I don't really know why. I think, like I said earlier, I kind of started with the Ameritrash thing, but for me now, if I play something like an Arkham Horror, it's just frustrating for me if like a card comes up and says, "Oh, you now make a random test on a random stat," and you have no way of sort of preparing for it, or it's a lot of them hinge just a little too much in the realm of sort of luck for me, and I like something that's a little more predictable and a little more strategic. But I can see the benefit, and there are times when I'll be like, I want to play Lost on Earth and just be like schlocky and throw some dice and get eaten by zombies. But I think it also depends on who you're playing with. Like if it's a beer and pretzels kind of mood, I'm not going to whip out sort of Caverna, you know. Then it's a Last Monday kind of vibe. But if it's you're at home and it's you and your significant other and you just had dinner and you want to play something, then it'll probably be something a little more gentle. Yeah, so that's my answer.
All right. Guess you say I started out as an Ameritrash lover. Like that's what got me in. But I think over the last few years and trying some of the Euro style games, I think the first one that really showed me I liked Euro was when I played Shipyard with a friend of mine. It's actually one of those games where I opened up the box, got all the components out, then put them all right back in the box and put it back on the shelf because it was probably 1,000 components. But you don't really need them all necessarily, but it's very overwhelming. But we pushed through it, set it up, played it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I started to, branch out, and then I think, like with New Culture and now Forge War, like getting into all these other bigger kind of like worker placement Euro-y style games. I kind of like that. I don't know. It makes me, and it's like work, but sometimes I like that. I don't know. It just.
I don't.
It takes the luck mostly out of it, and it gives me more. I guess I feel more of accomplished once I actually get through it and make it through to the end. So I don't know. That's my flavor right now. Heavy Euro.
Yeah, I think with Euros, I spend more time rethinking the game and thinking about how I would play it differently, what I would go after. Whereas with the thematic games, I just remember those big roll moments or the big loss moments, but not so much like the technique and strategy. So I think the Euros definitely stick with me longer after I play them. Whereas the thematics just have those high points that you latch on to.
I must admit, it doesn't really bother me occasionally when I'm playing a luck game where it does go against me. I just find it part of the enjoyment, and you've probably seen it on my videos where I'm going like, no! I go off on a rant for 2 minutes, but I do enjoy it. I think the thing with me, why I don't particularly go for Euros, is I enjoy theme as well, and you tend to get a bit more theme in the Ameritrash ones, because I just love getting into the characters and stuff. Like I bought Darkest Night, and I thought, you get 24, 25 characters, something like that, and they were just like the Acolyte, the Knight. I thought, I'm not having that. So I went through all 26 and gave them a name. And I just really love getting into it and just like imagining what they're doing. I suppose it's the old role player in me and that's why I really like that, and just getting into it that way. And I find that a bit more difficult in a Euro because the themes aren't as strong. So I think that's probably a reason why I play a lot of Ameritrash games.
For me, I go back and forth between Euros and Ameritrash games. I'm not a fan of party games. I never was, and unfortunately, that's all I've been playing lately, bringing new people into it. But for me, it's back and forth. Every 6 months or so, I change. Recently I played Gold West, which I was very impressed with, and it's a straight up Euro game. And then it was a big hit, and I can't remember the name of it. I played it for the first time the other night at the Cabalist meetup. Orleans.
Orleans, yeah.
I just played
that.
that.
So Jay plays playthrough. Yeah.
I just played that. So
yeah. That's right.
Good.
The expansion Invasion, I don't think that's been released in the U.S. yet, so you can't technically solo it unless you buy the French version. But I think it comes with both English and French on the cards, from what I hear. I still have Orleans in plastic on the shelf waiting for that expansion.
How many do you have in plastic, and how many are?
Oh, good question.
What?
I think I have in total about just under 100 games. And of those, probably about 10% are usually in plastic still. Doesn't mean they've been played.
Right.
I mean, like if I have it doesn't mean the ones not in plastic have all been played either. So I do unwrap some games, punch them, and then put them back on the shelf. So
Yeah,
that's not a good way to indicate that.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I have, I'm going to say 250.
Whoa.
Not exactly sure on that. But out of that, there's probably about 15 that I have not played yet. It's just me and Jen have been going through some stuff lately with the personal stuff with her father and all that. So we just haven't been able to get to the table as much as I would like to. But yeah, probably about 15.
Yeah, I'm sitting at about. Oh, sorry, carry on.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sitting at about 180 in the collection in total, and about 8 maybe in shrink still. The two that are like first in line for me to get out and get played are Dungeon Pets and Dungeon Lords. I picked those up a while ago, and I really want to get them to the table. So yeah.
I like those.
Dungeon Pets Unplayed too.
I wanted to ask you guys, considering you played them, I kind of bought them both at the same time, but a lot of people are saying that one replaces the other. Are they different enough, do you think, or would I be better off getting rid of one?
I haven't played either.
No, I've only played Dungeon Lords, but just reading about Dungeon Pets, they seem far different.
Really? Okay, good.
Yeah, totally. It's pretty cool mechanic though. It's a very good game. I like Dungeon Lords.
Okay,
good.
awesome. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, I've only played Dungeon Pets, and I actually got rid of it. Jen didn't like it that much. I thought it was interesting, but talking to the Secrets of Law guys, they played both, and they said they go towards Dungeon Pets just because of the theme and all that, but they did say they are different games.
Cool.
Oh, all right. There was a question.
I feel it's confession time. I've only got about 25 games, so I feel pathetic.
Give it time, Paul.
Compared to you guys. I've got about 25, of which there's about 5 I haven't played, and the ones I'd really like to play, Waste Nights, which I just got, which looks like Fallout 4 and Mad Max rolled together.
Huh.
That's like a Polish game. And the other one is Descent, which I've had for ages. But it's the old miniature problem. I haven't painted the bloody things yet.
Yeah.
You really have to, Paul. I mean, it's playable without painting them.
Yeah, it is. But I've got to do. No, I'll have to do the heroes at least.
do the heroes.
And I've also got. Is it Red Jack? He's done like a solo set of cards, and I've got those from Printer Studio. So I'm looking forward to giving those a whirl.
Yeah,
they also have those. I think they're print and play from Fantasy Flight that they have the cooperative.
Yeah, there's 3, isn't there? There's Nature's Ire and a couple of.
Yeah, they're quite good.
I can't remember.
They're quite good.
Yeah.
I remember when I was very into Mansions of Madness, I made it my mission to get all of those print and play expansions. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
True story.
No, I think you'll like Descent, Paul. It has lots of dice rolling. It's very thematic. All the characters have names. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
I don't want to be wasting time thinking up more names. Just get in there and start killing stuff.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of that. A lot of dice rolling, so yeah, right up your alley.
I try to treat my unplayed games in the same way I treat my unread books. I have people who are book readers, and they have a shelf of books, and they'll say, "Oh, that whole shelf, I haven't read them yet," and no one ever judges them for unread books. So I like to think of my unplayed games like my unread books. You know, there's nothing shameful or wrong about having a few in the wing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And there's something sort of quite enjoyable about actually just acquiring the thing and, you know, taking it out and punching it and having a look and smelling it. And
it's a whole ritual. It's terrible.
It is. You know, if I get a new game, I lock myself in a room and light some candles. And then nobody knows what goes on, and I just come up an hour later. And it's good.
Smile.
Rattling a Play-Doh box full of components.
Yeah. Organizing is half the fun.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And with the box inserts now, oh my god.
Oh wow, yeah. Broken Token.
Oh
I
yeah, I
know.
just got one for Mage Knight.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and similar to what Gareth was saying, I had a very nice afternoon sleeving all my Mage Knight cards.
Mm. Bit of advice: if you do put the Broken Token inserts together, use a little wood glue.
Oh right, so
They come right apart. They're only stuck together
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
like friction, so you definitely glue.
I recently just bought an insert for Caverna because that's basically the only game I really thought I needed to have one for. And it wasn't Broken Token; it was another one.
Daedalus?
I'm sorry, it was Broken Token. It wasn't Daedalus. Is the one I was thinking. It wasn't. I wasn't too impressed by it. I mean, I had to do a lot of work for it to work. You know, I had to file some of the corners down and all that, and then, like you said, glue it.
You definitely got to glue it.
I think for, you know, some of them are as much as the game. I think if you're spending that much money on something, it should fit pretty well. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Caverna's one of those rare ones where you punch it and take everything out, and then you somehow it doubles the volume of what was in the box.
It's true.
I just picked up Time Stories, and it comes with that custom insert, so you can like save the game.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was cracked down the middle. And I was
No.
like, because they made it out of the flimsiest plastic you could think of. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Now,
figure out what to do there.
Since that game is rife with spoilers, are any of you planning on doing a playthrough of that one?
You know what I'm thinking of doing is I'm not going to do a playthrough of it. What I want to do is I want to do a spoiler-free tutorial, because for me when like I was saying earlier before we started recording, is that game sat unplayed for ages because I was so worried that I would get a rule wrong, and because it's like very disposable in nature, that would ruin the experience and essentially be money down the drain. So what I want to do is kind of create a spoiler-free tutorial, so this is how you play without giving too much away, so that people can watch it and feel confident to sort of tackle it without making any mistakes. But like you said, it's completely ripe with spoilers, so you can't really give too much away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I won't. Jen and I talked about Pandemic Legacy. I won't do that because of the spoilers. We did talk about it a little bit, maybe doing like the first or second month, you know, first 2 months. But I don't like to spoil things. That's why we didn't do Sherlock Holmes: The Consultant Detective, which is one of my favorite games. You know, it's up there, but there's just too much spoilery stuff in it.
Grey Elephant did Legacy. Full of rife with spoilers. Yeah, they did it.
A lot of guys did.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't gonna get it, so I watched it. So I wanted to know what the hype was about tearing up cards and stickers. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do
That doesn't bother. I made Jen do everything because she's like that. It doesn't bother me. I throw it, you know, like a piece of cardboard, but I made her do every single thing, every sticker, every writing on the board, all the card tear-ups. Drove her nuts. I loved it. All right, there was a couple questions. One's for Sarah, Chrissy, rather. Are you waiting for Seventh Continent? And would it be hard to record?
Seventh Continent. That's a Kickstarter one, right?
Yes.
I lose track of my Kickstarters. I don't know if I... No, I think I did do that one. I don't remember on that one if I did or not.
That's the one where it's
I don't
all
know.
cards, right? It's just a bunch of cards.
Oh, yeah, I think I did do that one. I don't know. I'd have to play it through to see if it'd be possible to record it or not. I'm lucky because I have lots of table space that I can leave things set up on. So space isn't as much of an issue for me. But yeah, if there would be a way to film it, oh yeah, I'd give it a shot for sure. I love the storytelling games. I think we're just playing Above and Below with my daughter because it has that storytelling feel to it. So I really get into those games.
Is that one? That one looks great. Is that one a soloable game?
No.
It's not. See, I miss out on all these.
Because when you read that little paragraph, there's parts you can't read. So you have to make a decision on what you're going to do before you know what the rewards are. So I think if you could see what the different reward tiers were, it might influence, what you decide to take. Does that make sense?
I'd have to bribe my kids on that one.
kind of you'd be like, hey, come here, read this for me, and then don't tell me anymore. Yeah.
Usually ends up with me having to buy like another video game or something to get them to play a board game with me. It's always some sort of bribe. It's terrible.
How old are they?
I have 4 kids, 10, 9, 7, and 4.
Oh, let them get a little older, and then they'll be knocking down the door to play with you.
I can't wait. That's why I'm building my collection.
I would highly recommend Jaipur if you want a great
Jaipur?
game. Great starter game for kids, Jaipur. It's a lot of fun.
Alright.
Yeah. It's a real game too, so.
Oh, okay.
It's not a
Not
kid
like
game.
Trouble?
No, it's like
Trouble
it's a
or,
real actual game.
Monopoly?
Yeah.
Speaking of games I want to destroy, that was one of them. My wife, I think it was my mother-in-law, got me the new Monopoly. What was it? It was like you could make a map, sort of. It was segmented pieces, and they know I hate Monopoly, so I actually did throw it in the fireplace, but they got it out before I could light the match.
Wow.
I can't remember the name of it though. Alright, so there's 2 actually pretty decent questions here. Do any of you have time for other hobbies, and what are they, if so?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Crafting.
Minecraft?
No, so I'm sewing, gardening.
Crafting.
Oh, I thought you said
Crafting,
Minecrafting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Creating stuff. Not a good artist, but I enjoy doing it. Minecraft, no. I don't understand that game.
Anybody else?
Hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, all of my hobby time is completely dedicated to tabletop stuff. So, board gaming. I love reading role-playing books and painting miniatures and playing miniatures games. But other than that, no. Too many games to play.
Yeah, that's right.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, it is real. I guess my hobbies would be doing videos, playing. When you do videos, and it's almost funny when you start doing videos. At least when I play games now, I actually will narrate. I'll catch myself narrating to myself like I'm doing a video because I do so much of my plays are actually filmed now. That there's it's seldom that I don't have plays that aren't getting ready to put them up on a video or getting ready to upload them because there's really no time. It takes a lot of time, as you all know, to prep this stuff and get it up and get it edited and make sure that everything's right. So you've got to carve out time for that. But aside from hobbies, it's that, and I'll play some video games here and there. I just finished school, so I don't have that anymore looming over me. So, but that's it. That's all I have time for.
The only other hobby that I have is do a bit of amateur dramatics. So about once a year we put on a show.
That makes a lot of sense.
I was about to say, surprising no one with that bombshell.
I'm obviously behind the scenes. No, I'm not actually. Yeah, we put on our own shows. We've got some friends that live in a village near us called Reno. It's near Macclesfield, and just once a year, just after Christmas, we put on like a panto type show. So we do that once a year. So that's fun. Time consuming. Takes up a lot of Sundays. I didn't do the last one because it is a bit of a trek to get there. But we've done, I think in the last 10 or 12 years, we must have done about 8 or 9 shows. So it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. For me, I'm just getting back into woodworking. I haven't done it in a while, but since we moved into this house. But I'm slowly getting my garage back into a wood shop. I just got the electrician in and ran some wiring, or the main box, and I'll wire the outlets and all that. But yeah, eventually, I'm actually planning on doing some videos on that. I want to make some shelving, like I mentioned earlier. I'm actually going to build my own table. Because I have this terror kit in here, so I can't leave a game set up for a day or two, or pieces will be missing or eaten or whatever. So that's one of the second things, and then other little things. So hopefully, it's taking me longer. since I hurt my back, it takes me longer to do anything physical like that. But I was hoping to get the shop up and running by now. It's almost there, probably another month or two.
Woodworking is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be. It can be.
You're from Delaware area, Barry?
I'm a transplant from Philly. I live in Delaware now, but originally I'm from Philly.
What's funny is I'm literally 20-minute drive from Barry.
Oh, are you? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
small world.
Where you at?
I'm in South Jersey.
Okay. Hey, maybe we'll hook up a game night or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a place down the shore in Wildwood. We go during the summer. Campground down there. I've got a trailer. But yeah, I'm familiar with the area. Yeah. It was a culture shock moving down here from Philly. You know,
Yeah.
the people down here are a little off. I don't. It's weird. Yeah, it's like they don't say hello at the cash register or anything. It's kind of weird. You know. Whereas in Philly, you had to watch saying hello and all that. You might get shot. So give or take. I'm joking about that, but it's. I used to work on the L in Philly before I injured my back and all that, and I seen footage. Like there's cameras on the L, and I seen footage of one guy shooting another guy because he's wearing a Bulls jersey, stuff like that. You know.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the reasons I got out of the city. It's getting really bad.
But at least it's always sunny.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for the most part.
Especially when Dana DeVito's. Never seen that. Where was that other one? It was something on the lines of. Oh, here it is. If you could request a playthrough by one of the other people on the panel, who would it be and what game?
Chrissy, A Touch of Evil.
Okay, Paul, Agricola.
Oh, there you go.
What was that? Sorry.
I said, Paul, you have to play Agricola.
Oh.
I think that should
no,
be fun. You're doing it your own, my
Make him
friend.
play Shipyard, I'm telling you. Look how many little pieces are in that game.
Through the ages. Through the ages.
Oh, it's so.
And I want to.
Yo, Hannes did that, didn't he? Good grief.
I want to see all of your thought process on camera. You can't edit it out. I want
Oh.
Oh, God, they'd be about 4 hours long.
Yeah.
and there's more dice involved. So
A
you
lot of
can't
swearing.
Yeah.
A lot of swearing.
A great deal of swearing.
Yeah.
Funny, talking about swearing, I did like a video where I was putting together some miniatures, and it was just like a. And I thought I was gonna like play the whole thing in real time, but it was just like swear word after swear word, cutting my fingers and gluing my hands together. So I just thought, F that, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And
Frenzy, did you ever end up playing Tragedy Looper?
I played it twice now. Oh, amazing game.
Yeah,
I would love to see you play that because it looks like such a cool game, but I wonder how it actually works.
You know, Tragedy Loop is like an interesting beast. It's if you're playing as the I think I call the mastermind or something, the kind of the one who's running the thing. And then have any of you guys played it?
I have.
No.
I enjoyed it a good bit too. It's a very tough game to explain though.
Yeah.
Yeah, to teach it's a beast, and also like as the mastermind, there's so many different moving parts, and they're always interacting in different ways. It's like a real brain burn. But I think if you're a good mastermind, which I'm not claiming to be, I would imagine if you're playing with a really good mastermind, it can be probably one of the best sort of deduction games around, if not the best. I think it's very cleverly thought out, and it tells a good story, and and it's just unique. Unique is the word.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a playthrough of that particular game.
I think Tim Norris did one. I'm not 100%.
Oh, really? Okay.
I believe I know somebody did, and I think it was him. But yeah, it's very tough to explain, and it's tough for people to get their heads around for the first game or two.
Yeah, it's one of those where you have to kind of play it just to understand it. You can't sort of explain it and then expect everyone to just hit the ground running.
And it seems like the artwork is a little bit odd for the theme.
Well, it was a Japanese game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but it's this murder mystery you're solving, and
That's actually
Yeah.
that's one of the turn-offs for my wife is the artwork. She doesn't like that anime stuff.
I always find it interesting that people are, like with most artwork, people can kind of go either way, but with anime, people are like, they either don't care or they're like vehemently against it. It's quite a derisive thing, which is interesting.
mhm.
Most people think of Tanto Cuore when they think of anime. It's just really odd card games.
Yeah, and people will defend that thing to the end, but I mean, really, it's you know why they play that stuff.
Of course.
It's Dominion with boobs, man.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I actually have a question for everyone. What is the significance of your channel name and the image you've chosen to display on your channel?
I'll
Some of
go
that's probably
first.
more obvious, but yeah. I'd love to hear
Mine
it.
is a little strange. When my dad used to play poker, like online poker, his nickname was a Frenzy Lion, and I don't know where the hell that came from. So I just thought Frenzy Kitty would be cute. It's really not, but it is what it is, and that was kind of what I had signed up as my Gmail account, and I was too stupid to figure out how to change it. But then I kind of liked it, and the logo a friend of mine did, and I kind of wanted it to look like a dice that had unraveled to form a cat.
Okay.
The fact that no one knows what it is shows that I've failed in my objective.
It's a robotic cat. That's what I got.
Well, that's also pretty cool. I'll go with that, Robo Cat.
So what about your board game geek image? That picture.
Oh, in
Your avatar, I guess you call it.
sure. We have. I think it happens in lots of spots around the world, but every year there's this thing called Zombie Walk, where basically hundreds of people get dressed up as zombies, and you do like this thing where you walk through the city for charity. That's amazing. It's like literally about 400 or 500 people dressed up like in full zombie attire, like going through the city in like a horde, and it's raising money for like animal shelters.
Mm-hmm.
And that picture was just a picture of me from that. It was quite funny. My girlfriend and I went, and I was like a waiter, and I had like a human arm on a tray, and it was bow tie and blood everywhere.
Now it makes sense. I thought it was kind of creepy. I didn't want to say that, but
No, I get that a lot. Well, now you know.
That's great.
I know we have 2 cats and an ant in here, so
Yeah.
there's our animal theme going on.
All right then. Speaking of the second cat, what about you, Paul?
Oh God. Well, normally I go by Withy Windle, which I've done for years, which is sort of a river in the like Fellowship of the Ring, Tom Bombadil and all that sort of stuff. But as I say, I sort of fell into this sort of thing, and I was come through, got onto YouTube, and it says like, oh, put a name, and I just went, oh right, and I put Cat Weasel down. The reason I put Cat Weasel down because that day I was in work, and somebody was taking the mickey out of my little goatee beard, and they said I looked like a fat cat weasel, which was nice. And it was just in my head, and so I just thought, oh, I'll call myself Cat Weasel, thinking, oh, I'll be able to change it later.
And you flipping can't.
and then I was sort of stuck with it, and that's where the avatar comes from as well. Really, I thought, well, it's a cat and a weasel, and I just did something in PowerPoint that looked like a cat and a weasel, and uploaded that, and that was it really. So yeah, it was. There's a bit of a. If you go onto me thing on Board Game Geek, it's just a little explanation of like I didn't know what I was doing, man. That's why the names are different.
Story of my life.
Cool.
Yeah, mine's just solo games, solo McLaughlin. I had them all under my personal account, but that's where I have like my kids running around in their diapers and stuff, and I was like, oh, I probably should separate this, so I'm not posted anything inappropriate. I just spun off a separate one. No real flash of genius.
For me, with the name of the channel is when I got into it, there wasn't many doing gateway games, and I quickly found out why. I should have thought about the name a little longer. So that's where Gateway Gamer came through. When I started, it was just me because I was working the graveyard shift and my days off were like Tuesday, Wednesday. So it was just I was doing solo, using my wife in my head to try and keep track of the other player because it just felt funny saying the red player, green player, whatever. So I would use Meeples from Carcassonne, and green would be me, and yellow would be Jen, and when I made the logo, that's what I could draw, and that's what it is. I'm not very good at artistic, drawing and all that.
That's cool.
Yeah, but like I said, I should have thought about the name a little bit longer. I started it with Gateway Games, what I thought were Gateway Games at the time, and I quickly veered away from them. I still do a few here and there, but for the most part, not so much. There's another question, I think. Okay, what would you guys recommend for people just starting to do video playthroughs?
A camera.
Good choice.
And I think I recommend that you just give it a go. You don't have to upload anything. Give it a go. Have a look at it back. See how you feel doing it. It's I don't know. It's odd. It's I didn't think I'd do it, and then I did a few sort of test ones, and I definitely recommend do some test ones because I looked at those back. If I'd uploaded those, I'd have been like shamed for life. It's just it just gets you into the practice of talking in front of a camera. And the other thing is, if you do it and you feel fine with it and you've got your lighting right and you think, yeah, that looks pretty good. The other thing I'd say is don't get too hung up on the rules or making a mess, because you will.
Yes.
That is guaranteed. You will forget something, and all I can recommend is do what I do, which is try and laugh your way through it. But yeah, I definitely, if you've got a camera and you've got a board game, set it up, run through it, and if you're cool with doing it, because I thought it'd be easy. You watch these guys, all these other guys here, and everybody on tube tables, and you watch them, you think, wow, brilliant, doing such a good job, and it must be easy. And then you do it yourself, and you go, oh, Christ, it's not. It's a bit more difficult than I thought. And I think Anthony mentioned it a lot earlier on. The video is about 10% of the work that goes into it. It's the background stuff, it's setting stuff up, it's reading the rules, and you've just got to be, if you do a few practice ones, it just brings it home a bit that, oh right, this is the amount of time I'm going to have to allocate to doing a video. And then have a look at some of the things you do and just say, yeah, that sounds pretty good, the lighting looks good, and I'm happy with it. And then go for it, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of times I'll go somewhere for the game, but I'll subscribe for the personality. Playing a game and enjoying it makes the video enjoyable. Playing a game and getting all of the rules right and reading a script or cards is going to kill it. But if you're just have fun with the game and let you be you, that's what people like to see. And that's why I think they come back and watch the videos, is because they like the person, the personality, the style of presentation. That's what'll get them to click through and come back and leave a comment and enjoy it. So pick a game you love, pick a game you know, and don't get hung up on the technical aspect. Let yourself be there, and that's what people will see and respond to.
Yeah, I think you guys have said it all, really. I mean, that is it. It's. I think, Paul, what you said about just sort of actually just doing it is important, because video making is definitely a practical skill, and it's something that's learned on the job. Like, no one's first video is going to be amazing. It's just something that, the more you do the better you get at it. And Chrissy, what you said about sort of enjoying the game, I think is also incredibly valuable. If you think about Shut Up and Sit Down, their first reviews, the quality was not great, but the reason people loved them and subscribed to them and kept coming back is because they clearly loved what they were doing, and they were having a good time, and that joy is infectious, and people will subscribe for that, I think.
Look at Rodney Smith, right? He was in his basement with his kids.
With the toilet going. You remember his toilet going? He was doing Magic Madness, and he was sat there with his daughter, and the toilet went, and they're trying to keep the faces straight.
Yeah, that's come a long way, right? I mean, they're in the studio now. It's ridiculous, but you can tell the guy loves what he's doing. You know, and it sucks you in. Subscribe to it, so that's exactly right.
Yeah, for me, I'd echo in what Paul said. Not so much worrying about what everything looks like, but do a few beforehand, before uploading, to see if you enjoy them. Because it is a lot of work. Like, for me, it's roughly 10 hours for every hour of video that goes up that I put into it, roughly. I think I changed the format a little bit, but it's a lot of behind-the-scenes work. I wouldn't expect to be an overnight sensation. You're going to have to build up subscribers. So if you're in it just to get free board games or subscribers, you're in it for the wrong reason. You know?
It's not happening.
No.
Yeah. And if you enjoy, keep going. You will get better. With the camera and the camera angles and how to set things up, and you'll get quicker at editing and all that. But in the beginning, it's going to be, very slow going. A lot of behind the scenes work. Yeah.
It's always a good laugh. I enjoy going back to my first videos. It's always a good laugh just to play them. See how far I can get through before I start cringing and turning.
Yeah. I still do it on my current videos. I don't even have to look back that far. Like, ooh, that's a mistake.
So what were your guys' biggest hurdles when you first started? Like, for me, it was the camera. I was so uncomfortable, and I still am to a point. I did my first video with, I forget what it is. I traded away since then. It wasn't Pandemic. It was the second video on the channel. I forget what it is, though. But I sat there in front of the camera, and I was like, I feel like an ass. Why am I doing this? So what was your guys' biggest hurdle?
I suppose you're right. There's a certain amount of self-consciousness.
Yeah.
Because you're there. I wasn't sat in front of the camera, so it wasn't so bad. It was just the old hands doing all this. But I felt self-conscious on my voice, my accent, and I just thought. So I start with, oh, hello, and all this, and I've let my accent come through now, but it was a lot less in the earlier ones, and I was just terrified of making an error. Even at the back of my mind, just saying, oh, don't mess it up, don't mess it up, don't mess it up. And it was only as you get into it, you forget that you're actually doing it in front of camera, and this is where the practice comes in.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't bother me at all. Just switch the camera on and I'm away.
Yeah.
And losing that self-consciousness and sort of analyze, because you're analyzing what you're saying, you're analyzing the way that you say it, and you've got to concentrate on the game as well and the rules, and it's you'd finish a video and you'd be like, "Phew, I'm knackered. All I've been doing is talking for like an hour." But the more that you do it, the more that it's like driving a car, isn't it? The more that you do it, it just goes onto autopilot.
Yep.
And it gets a lot easier, and you can concentrate on the actual game that you're playing and what you're talking about rather than the way you're presenting it. So, like anything, the more that you do it, the better you'll get at it.
I think for me it was the editing software. I didn't have any. I didn't know what to use, and I filmed it all and then watched it back and thought, oh my gosh, I got to do something. I got to cut this. How do you do a transition? How do you do a start screen? All that good stuff. So that was definitely hard for me to figure out.
Yeah, I think for me it was probably also the sort of self-conscious element of, like Paul was saying, just sitting in front of the camera and talking. It's like when I started doing videos, I was staying at home, and it's odd when you're there, and then your sister walks past and you're like, what the hell? So that's the thing. But just sort of quickly going back to the last question, one of the other things that I just popped into my head now is if you're interested in doing this, I think it's valuable to try and figure out a workflow that makes it as, and this might sound sort of like obtuse, but makes it as easy as possible. Because I think, especially for something like this, if it's in South Africa we have a word like a lus, which means like if it's like going to be a pain in the ass to get everything set up and it's all packed away, then you're more than likely not going to be inspired to do it. But if you can figure out a way of having the camera sort of fairly close to being always set up or in a position where you can just pick it up and go, I think you need to sort of remove as many potential procrastination hurdles. I'm using a lot of strange words, but yeah. I think you need to make it as easy for yourself as possible to actually just press record. Because if there's like I know for me, that's one of the reasons why I got the webcams, because I have the whole camera and everything, but a lot of the time I just want to sit down and talk and get something off my chest, and then what I'll do is I'll just turn on the webcam, because I think, well, you know, it's going to take me half an hour to get all this stuff assembled and put together, and for like a 2-minute video, yeah. So I think, yeah, that would be one of my suggestions anyway.
Yeah, along that, in the beginning, you're not going to know the voice of your channel, so to speak. It took me a while. You know, like I said, I did it solo for a while, and then Jen came along, and I had to figure out how to work with her doing it. Because with the solo videos, I just say what's on my mind, what I plan to do, stuff like that. I can't do that with Jen because she kicked my ass even more with the board game, which she does anyway. So it will take a while for you to find, you know, the voice of your channel. Like I said, I recently switched up my format before, where I do, you know, the setup, here's how to play, and then we go into the game. Now it's the setup, and as me and Jen are sitting there, we go into how to play the game. For the less complex games, the more complex games, I'll go back to that, you know, rules overview video. Yeah. So just be prepared for stuff like that. And the final thoughts thing, I was thinking about cutting that out. I'm still back and forth on that. You know, somebody pointed out that I'm doing a review, and I actually didn't think of it that way. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's part of why I never give sort of like at the end. I always never wanted to give sort of a, yeah, I thought this was great. I hated this. I mean, you could throw that in there. That's fine. That's your personal opinion. You know, I don't see why you should have to stop that. I mean, you're not going out there saying that you're a reviewer, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we all are entitled to your opinion. You play the game. You obviously own it, right? So you probably like it. I think that probably goes for all of us. I'm not sure if any of us are sponsored at this stage. So then you're entitled to your opinion. So you shouldn't feel like you have to take that out.
I tend to throw it in as part of the gameplay. From there, and something bugs me, I go, don't like that.
Yeah.
That's getting on my nerves. Or if I really like something, I say, that's a brilliant idea, I really like it. And I'll use it as part of the playthrough. At the end, I do a little, like, really enjoyed it or whatever, but I don't go into any great details because pretty much I like it or I don't. If I didn't like it, you wouldn't be watching the playthrough because I wouldn't have done a playthrough of it. So
Exactly.
And I think board games are particularly subjective in terms of who enjoys what. So I think that's what I like about playthroughs is anyone who's sort of in the hobby and is looking out for a new game, just watching someone play it should be enough of a review. Like if you watch a game and you watch someone play it, you should be able to tell whether or not it's something that you're going to like or not. Really, the final thoughts, unless it's someone that you know who shares a similar taste in games to you, they really are. Neither here nor there. I think the value in terms of a review is in actually just showing the game what it looks like and how it plays, and people can generally make up their own minds because it's so, like I said, so subjective as compared to something like a movie or a TV show.
And what I think a lot of people fail to realize is if somebody is putting a video up on their channel, especially a playthrough, they enjoy the game because they're not going to spend 10 plus hours on a game they hate, you know, most of the time. We had a couple Twitter questions here from the same person, Elena. The first one was, why did your panelists begin their channels, and did they have previous experience teaching or giving instructions for the games?
I started because I was watching like the guys on tube tables, and it looked fun. I thought, I want a piece of that. That looks really good. I'm playing it solo anyway because none of my bloody family will play apart from at Christmas. So I thought, and I've got a camera, I'll just do it. And fortunately, after doing those first couple of run-throughs, I thought, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I really enjoyed it. So that's why I started doing it, really. So yeah, it was. I just found it was fun.
Same
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just yeah, for me as well. I like the YouTube thing, and starting a channel was always something I wanted to do. So just combining it with a hobby I love made a lot of sense. And yeah, it's a fun excuse to. It's a fun excuse or a justification for spending as much money as we do on this stuff.
That's a good point. It's mainly.
It's for the channel, honey. It's for the channel. It's doing this for me.
I figured I gave it a shot, and I hoped it would, just to see where it would go. If I got like 10 subscribers and no one really watched the videos, then I would have known pretty early on that it wasn't going to go anywhere, and I probably would have stopped doing it a while ago. But eventually you start to get subscriptions, you start to get a bigger following, and it makes it easier now. It's like you feel, okay, people are actually watching this stuff, so I'm going to keep producing it, and it makes it all worthwhile at the end of the day, But I had a high def camera, like a really good camera I bought to film like the kids doing their school stuff and sports, but it really wasn't getting as much use as I had intended as for as much as it cost. So I was like, well, it probably wouldn't hurt to try doing something else with it, and this paid out. I mean, it's getting its use now. Let me tell you, I use it every other day. It's ridiculous how much I use it now. So it's stuck. I like it.
Yeah, I'm a visual learner, so I
So
had a game I couldn't play, and I went to go try and find a video for it, and there wasn't one. And I was like, well, I can do this. So I ended up just doing a video on how to play the game, and posted it up, and somebody else took it and put it on Board Game Geek for me. They emailed me and said, would this be okay? And I was like, what is Board Game Geek? And so they put it on for me, and so many people were like, this is wonderful, please do more. That I said, oh, okay, I can do that. It was just a fluke, really.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I'm also a visual learner, and like I said, when I got into it, there weren't many on the gateway games, and then it just evolved from there. But when I first got into it, I had the trifecta of doom, I call it. I found Board Game Geek, the Dice Tower, and Rodney Smith. Watch it played within like 3 weeks of each other, and then that was it. There went my paychecks and all that. Yeah. Another thing I want to mention, Ant Labs just brought up, was the cameras and all that. When you first get into it, don't spend a ton of money on equipment. Just work your way up to it. Because like I said, you may not like it. You might like it at first, and then a couple months into it, you decide it's not enough. It's taking up too much of your time and stuff like that. So don't go nuts with equipment.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
work.
and these things are modular. I mean, you can add to it as you grow. You don't need to sort of go whole hog. Just gotta save something for the honeymoon. So just get what you need and then add to it as you go.
Yeah, and editing software is not that expensive these days, so you can get a pretty decent program for $50 if that's what you want to put into it, which is pretty low entry fee in my opinion to get some pretty good editing tools.
Yeah. All right. So Elena, that was kind of a statement. She was talking about camera angles are tough because you want viewers to see the board and all that.
That's the thing. Camera angles are very important. If you put on a video and the camera angles are bad, you have trouble seeing or reading the cards and following along. It's not going to keep you on there. I need to see what's going on. You want to feel like you're there playing. That's why I think Ricky Royal does such a good job because he gets right in there with that camera. And that's what sucked me in when I first saw his videos was that watching Mage Knight. I think he taught the world how to play Mage Knight. So
Pretty much.
at least I know he taught me. It's ridiculous. So. But that's important.
It is, and I see a lot of guys, they move the cameras around. I don't, like I said, it's stationary. But that added a good bit of time to my post-production stuff because I was taking pictures of the cards and placing them up, and if you're getting a no-side divide against that, you know, it's a ton of time.
I think that's a great tool. I love when people put the images of the cards up on the screen while they're doing videos. I'll never do it because of how much time it takes, but
Yeah.
if you all are good to do it, I love it.
I've been cheating in on it a little bit lately. Like I used to crop it and then, you know, put it in a PVG format, I think is where the background's translucent, so you can just throw them up there. I used to go through a ton of time doing that. Now I just take a picture of it and put the picture of the card with the table and everything else on there. I don't deal with all the rest of it because it is very time consuming. All right. Let's see if we got any more questions or anything. Anything anybody want to touch on?
That's a good
I'll
question
take that
from
as a
Jason.
no.
Speaking of angles, Chrissy, do you still film things upside down?
I do. I do it all upside down.
I'm assuming that's the cameras upside down.
Do the whole thing upside down. Reading cards is a nightmare. But then I can just flip it. I have to remember to flip it. And then everything's right side up. Because I hate the incline. I know this is weird. It's bizarre. But I don't like it when I'm watching a video and it's inclined and I feel like I'm tilting. It drives me bonkers.
It feels weird to watch that, yeah.
It really does. So I like to flip my camera upside down and point it straight in front of me. And then I just have to play the game upside down and flip it later. It's a mind-bending thing.
Upside down too.
Yeah, but I like the upside down look.
Not a sentence I thought I'd be hearing today, but okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just impressed we got so many people in so many different time zones together, so that was well done.
Yeah, this was great. It's definitely great.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I thought about doing this before, but the time zone thing is really tough. I did a game of But Wait, There's More with a bunch of people. But somewhere in the East Coast here, somewhere in the West Coast, and it was just a real pain trying to get everybody to schedule up and all that. But this worked out pretty good. It was, you know, people just jump in or jump out whenever. I think if we do another one, it should be on the weekends again, like I said. I think that's the best time to try and get everybody.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, had a great time. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good to
It's
see
an
you all.
emotional roller coaster.
This is really good. We definitely covered a lot of good topics, I think.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, though, how about if everybody gives their social stuff, you know, where they can find them, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that. I guess we'll start off with Chrissy.
Oh yeah, I'm the easiest. I'm only on YouTube, so I'm a minimalist man, so just Solo McLaughlin. That's the only place you'll find me.
Okay. Paul?
YouTube, Twitter, and Google Plus and Instagram. It's all on the, you know, if you go to the actual channel, it's all on the, the banner. So, stuck it all on there.
Alright, oops, sorry, I went to the other screen. I think Frenzy's up next. Yeah, Frenzy Kitty.
All right. Cool. So if you want to find me, the YouTube channel is just youtube.com/FrenzyKitty, and I'm on Twitter. It's at OMG. It's Gareth. That's me.
Okay, Ant Lab.
Only on YouTube, much like Chrissy. So it's just AntLab Games on YouTube. Email is antlabgames@gmail.com. Pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah, and I'm a gateway gamer at everything, pretty much. Board Game Geek, it's a gateway gamer. The YouTube channel. Facebook, there's two. There's actually one in my actual name, which is my personal thing, Barry Reynolds. But there's actually a gateway gamer page on Facebook that I pretty much just post videos to. I don't really interact with that too much now, although that may change in the future. And then Twitter, it's the same thing, but I have a hard time with Twitter. I have a hard time following one-sentence conversations, so I'm not really that active on it. You know, that's pretty much it. Thanks to all you guys for coming on. It was fun.
Oh, yeah, thanks for
having
having us.
Thanks for organising it, Barry.
Yeah,
No problem.
excellent.
Like I said, maybe we'll try it again. You know, not too often. Maybe like every month or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the guild. Speaking of the guild, if you're interested in the two tables, we are Guild 1972 in BBG. Just, you could do a search for the guild. It's not only tabletop creators, there's also viewers in there who throw in their ideas and questions and stuff like that. So, join on. Like I said, there's 20 people, 20 creators now or something like that in there.
Yeah.
So it's just not us 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yep, be great to see everybody. Come along.
Cool.
All right. Anything else? I never know how to end these things. I do them every month, and I don't know. All right. So, everybody, thanks for watching. Get gaming. Have fun.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.
Mhm.